Hello, winners, and welcome for Two for the Win with your hosts, Nick and Will. We provide international perspectives and insight on things such as leadership and mindset on Monday Mindset, travel and the travel business on Wanderlust Wednesday, and sports on Fanatic Friday. You can anticipate each episode to be about 20 to 30 minutes in length, so you can plan for it. Please make sure to subscribe, follow, and share so you can spread the word about Two for the Win and the things that we like to chat about. And please give us feedback if there's things that you'd like us to chat about so that we can tailor the content to our winners, our listeners. And again, please remember today's episode is sponsored by Nick Menard and Associates of Dream Vacations. Get your dream vacation now, right, Nick?
Ooh, never too late. Just came back from an amazing week, so I'm excited.
That's right. Yeah, we'll chat more about that in a future episode. But today is Monday. And fortunately, I'm not thinking of the old Bengals song, which would be dating myself about just another Manic Monday. We don't have Manic Mondays, do we? We have Monday Mindset. That's what we have. We do. And today, winners, we are going to chat about entrepreneurship and intrapreneurship. What is both? How are they similar? How are they different? So excited to chat more about that. And I think, we have a variety of different listeners, right? We have listeners who are business owners, entrepreneurs. We have listeners who work for an organization. We have listeners who don't have a formal employment type of situation, but the mindset, again, regardless of the situation, matters. And so when we think about entrepreneurship and entrepreneurship, hopefully you find this kind of interesting, the route we take it. But we are going to start with our quotes and quips. Woo-hoo! So, unlike the last two Monday Mindsets, I actually have sources for these, so they weren't unknown sources. So I'm happy to give the credit when I read it. The first one comes from Peter Drucker. And for those of you who may not recognize that name, Peter Drucker is a famous management consultant. Pour one out for him. He's no longer with us, but he was well renowned in the management consultant community as a very forthright and leading thought agent in that space. Anyway, what Peter Drucker shared in terms of the entrepreneur always searches for change, responds to it, and exploits it as an opportunity. So not shying for change, trying to find those areas of opportunities where change could be introduced and have it be a lucrative endeavor. So thoughts on that quote?
No, it's 100% true. As a serial entrepreneur, that's something that we always look for the next thing to do. And what did we just learn from the previous endeavor? What can we replicate and make it better on the next one? For what product, what services? So 100%.
All right, agree. The next is a quip. And again, a quip is something a little tongue-in-cheek, maybe a little analogy, but not quite a quote. So the quip comes from John Shedd, Shedd. What John said is, a ship in harbor is safe, but that's not why ships are built.
Love it.
Yeah. So, the ship's built because you want to get to a port, a destination, not just sit in the harbor where it's safe. And sometimes I think people feel that way when they're thinking about, do I start a side hustle? Do I start a business? Do I take a leap and try a different vocation in my career if I'm working at an organization? And, fortune favors the bold, right? Fortune favors the bold. But I like this quip because it basically illuminates that point. Take action, learn as you go. Most often, most of your fears will never be realized. And so why impede action by worrying about it? But thoughts on that quote?
The thought that I have on that one, it's something I usually say to my teams or people I work with. And it's also on my book, Mindset is My Degree as well, is if you don't take risk, you will not fail, but you will never win and succeed either. So you can take the easy road And usually people who take the easy road are people who complain that they cannot afford something, or that they cannot go on vacation as much as they want, or they point finger at people who have the life that they would like, saying like it's probably from their family and things like that. No, it's in your mind. It's a mindset thing. Act, try something. It doesn't have to be expensive. Try something small. Try to improve yourself every single day. Little details matter. And by doing that, you will learn what works, what doesn't work. And little by little, you will be able to build something, anything, whatever it's in your mind. But if you just leave the ship at the harbor, it's the ship will be there. That's not nothing can happen. Maybe in Florida it can with hurricane coming along, but otherwise nothing will happen to the ship. But you will not enjoy the pleasure to be on the ship. So don't limit yourself. Take action, take some risk, learn from it, and move on.
Totally agree. And by the way, Mindset is my degree. You can find that on Amazon or Audible. So please check it out if you haven't already, with my co-host Nick Menard, the book he published. Very inspirational story. But yeah, totally agree. And I think, you and I both have started a number of businesses, had success with entrepreneurship. We've both worked for employers, startup organizations, large Fortune 500 type organizations. And, obviously there's nuances between those two things, but the mindset, the action orientation, the solution orientation, those things carry over regardless.
And you forget we failed some businesses.
Yeah.
And we don't have to be ashamed to say it, because those failures make us who we are today. So, we want to make sure to let you guys know we made bad decisions, each on our own. And we tried something that we believe 1,000,000% it's going to work, and it didn't. And it's okay, because you learn things that you're not going to replicate again. And something that worked there now works way better in the current businesses.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And I remember I was in between. I had just sold my mortgage brokerage when I lived in Las Vegas. I didn't make like a killing off it, but I was just at the point where I felt mortgages were becoming a commodity, and there was a lot of risk going in mortgage brokerage that I was liable for people if they didn't explain things the right way. But before I got into an advertising career at that time, which actually was a lot of fun and creative, I was doing eBay reselling. I went to Alibaba, and I remember I had my garage in Vegas filled with like 80 hedge trimmers from Black & Decker, because I bought them in bulk. And then all I would do is slap on a label when somebody would buy it, and I'd slap it on and ship it. But, it's tough to find a lot of those really awesome wholesale deals. And especially the way my expenses were at the time, I had to make a lot more than what I was making. I think I was making $15 a hedge trimmer or something. Like, you got to sell a lot of hedge trimmers, pay the mortgage on that one. But actually, it was a fun business. I learned a lot, but that was a business that didn't continue, right? Because I wasn't sourcing enough of the products, and ended up moving to Florida anyway. So.
Yeah. For me, it's I started when I moved to the US. I wanted to do something. I didn't have a lot of money, but I wanted to work for myself, because it's what I was doing in Belgium. And so I was intrigued by the FBA, so Fulfilled by Amazon. So we said, I will do that. I will try to figure it out. So I learn, and I start contacting, some people from China. So it was brand new to me. I never contacted anyone from China before. And by doing so, I started learning, and I got a couple of products shipped on time for Christmas. But of course, there was some delays, because when you deal with China, that's an whole other story.
Yeah.
But expect a lot of delays. And everything came in on January 10. So I could not advertise nothing for Christmas, which was 2 articles typical for gift for Christmas. So I took a loss, and I took it. I took it. I learned from it. I'm like, I'm not going to deal with this anymore. I stopped. And guess what? 4 or 5 years later, I dealt with China again. But I knew things that I did that were not the best, so I didn't replicate that. And guess what? It worked. I started selling lithium batteries, like marine lithium batteries, golf cart lithium batteries. And I thanks to the failure 4 or 5 years before, I had no idea I was going to get back into something. It's not FBA, but something dealing with China. Well, I learned with what I learned, I was able to actually accelerate the project with batteries, and I sell batteries now. So again, it's a journey of learning, and whatever you think is a failure, maybe something will be useful for you in the future. So always take and learn and applicate that for new things in the future. And who knows, maybe the biggest failure will be the best thing that ever happened to you.
I think if you want to sell more batteries, you got to repurpose a mascot from the Energizer Bunny. So maybe instead of doing a drum and going around, they play like a trumpet. Yeah, like, and then you should think about that. You never know. Hey, you want to be memorable? Get the bunny with the trumpet instead of the bunny with the drum.
I will let you be memorable, Will.
Well, I suppose you probably couldn't do a bunny because that's a little bit too close. So maybe a frog with the trumpet.
Frog with a trumpet, or
For the
or a
batteries.
squirrel, like we mentioned squirrel last week.
Yeah, the squirrel. There we go. Nice. All right. Anyway, I digress. So, yeah, and I think when we talk about, right now, we kind of have this hybrid situation, right, where we're both working for a large organization and leaders in that organization. We also have the travel business that we're doing, as well as some other things, but one of the things I introduced to my team 2 years ago was this concept of intrapreneurship. So I think most people understand what an entrepreneur is, right? Somebody who's starting a business, finding a unique niche and going at it. That could be landscaping, it could be a product, it could be a service. Any number of things fall into the category of entrepreneurship. What intrapreneurship is taking that similar concept, but applying it when you're an employee for a company, whether it's a small company, a large company, doesn't matter. And the reason why I introduced it is sometimes there's an employee mentality where, and I'm not faulting anybody, not judging them, but they show up, they do what's expected to be done, and they're just cashing the check. And I think we used to know some people at the organization worked that way that were really good at just cashing checks. Maybe not the best at actually getting stuff done. They were great delegators, though. I will give them that. They were fantastic delegators, but yeah, they were just cashing the checks. But, both of us, because of how we think about mindset, and how we think about treating employees and recognizing them and developing them and helping them on their career professional development. But we want a mission-oriented person, somebody who believes in the role and the power that it can make on the clients and the organizations. But sometimes they, in my experience anyway, they sometimes think a little too narrow. And if they, like say, for example, every business has KPIs, right? Key performance indicators. How are you measuring success? What needs to move the needle that's going to help retain and grow the business, right? Regardless of what you're doing, entrepreneur, business, whatever. And sometimes people get so literal and they'll be like, well, I don't get credit for this, or should I do this? This isn't prescribed by, whatever. And when I would chat with them and say, well, if you were a business owner, what would you do to retain and grow your territory that you have in this company? And it's funny, you almost see the light switch go on, and they'd be like, well, I would do this, or I would do that, or I would do this for this customer, but I would do something different for another customer. And I'm like,
do it.
Go do that. Go do that then. Because at the end of the day, that's what's going to more than likely make the bigger difference. And if they have a certain territory size, if you treated that like a business, like you running multi-100,000, multi-million-dollar business, but the nice thing is you don't have to worry about making payroll. You don't have to worry about all the other responsibilities that an entrepreneur does. But if you thought like an entrepreneur and you treated your job like a business owner, I think a lot of people would see better results, and I think their career would actually accelerate faster if that's what they want.
I love what you just said because it's 100% what I'm going through, what I went through in a couple of situations as well the last couple of years. So one example I have is someone in my region who got promoted to first line manager. All right, so that was her first experience as a new manager, and that person went through the rank as an individual contributor in no time. I think she got promoted 3 times in 3 years. So it's very, very fast growth. And so she has, of course, in order to do that, you need to have the right mentality, the right mindset, to be doing the right thing, having the right partnership, know to handle clients, difficulties, all of them. So she went through all of this. She earned the right to become a first-time manager. And then the first few months, and I was expecting that as a new manager, she was constantly asking me about, Nick, what should I do in this case? Nick, can I do that? Or Nick, should I do that? I'm like, do it. Like, we're not in the hospital industry where you cannot make a mistake. You will not kill nothing or no one by doing, say, what we do matter is very important. We help a lot of important people, but no mistake are irreversible. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing you can do that will impact the company or yourself or your region like drastically. Just learn by doing. Mm-hmm. And so it took a few months, but she started implementing that by doing things by herself and realized that things are going well. And what made me proud the most is when I heard from my partner, oh my God, what she did was fantastic. She took initiative on this. And I'm like, hallelujah. Because that's exactly what I kept telling her. Do it and see what stick.
Yeah.
And exactly what she was able to do and able to progress. But guess what? Her progression, it's a lot faster than if I would give her the answer for every single question. Mm-hmm. That's why when you are in an organization or you own your business and you deal with, employees and stuff, give them room to learn, room to make mistakes, and then you see how they react based on the feedback. They need to be really open and coachable, of course, but that's something extremely important for any business or organization.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, there's unless you have to, you're more than likely better off not micromanaging. And if you're going to say it's okay to make mistakes as long as you learn, then don't you chastise somebody for making a mistake. Mm-hmm. Like, you got to walk the talk. And it can be tough sometimes, right? Because some mistakes are forehead slapping. But that's part of their journey and growth. And if you believe in the person, then they'll be stronger because of it. But if you chastise them, you will set them back and set the organization back, whether it's your own business or another business that you work for back. I was thinking of something that I did this year for the first time. So we get a T&E budget, travel and expense budget. And we have different events that our company puts on, and we send people to go to the events and to help facilitate and interact with our clients. This was done partly because it was a pain in the butt, and it was done partly because I wanted to foster more of an entrepreneur mindset with my direct reports, my senior leaders who report to me. And so what I did for the first time this year is I took the T&E budget and then I distilled it and gave them their own subset T&E budget. So when they had their events, they figure out how many people they can send. When they have different team activities they want to do, go for it. Just don't spend $1 more than your T&E, but also don't give any money back, like use it. But it just empowered it. And then I didn't have to get involved with, can we send this many people or X many people or Y number of people or anything? I have to tell you, that has been a huge success. Like and having them think about, okay, if I do this, the implications and trade-offs are this. And so it's helping them to prioritize what are they going to invest the travel and expense budget on. And it's really worked out fantastic. And I just ran the report with our finance partner, and everyone's under budget. And now they have extra budget where maybe some of the managers can visit some of the other offices, or they send a few extra people to some of these events. And it's working out fantastic. And guess what I got out of? I was out of the administrative, like, okay, not okay. Like, it's not the highest and best use of my time. You know, I mean, I spent the money and the work on the front end to figure out how much budget they would need, ballpark it, and it's worked out great. So I think sometimes by fostering a mindset of entrepreneurship, you actually are fostering your own ability to delegate and empower people, and it saves you time so you can do some things that are more highest and best use, and they learn and grow because they have that added responsibility.
Love it. What you just said is huge for the reason you mentioned, but also one more. You empower your people and you also prepare them for what's next, because it's a form of development plan. You know, you help them get ready when they get to whatever it's next for them. They will have that T&E budget. If you didn't do that, that's going to be brand new for them. So you or someone else will have to explain to them how this works. Now you already put them in a position to understand the T&A aspect of things, to understand, all right, how should I handle and prioritize my budget? Now, whenever they're ready for next step, that's not a problem anymore because they've been dealing with this already. So I think that it's there's nothing stronger than empowerment. I mean, definitely when you get into leadership, senior leadership, people who feel empowered feel more, dare to do more and dare to try more. And usually they have the mindset that come with it. Not always, but usually they do. And it helps you as a leader. You don't have, like you said, you did the pre-work, but then you can focus at one matter, like we talked last week, the critical economic prioritization. And you even though it's important, the budget, but you teach them how and you give them the power to do it. And then they learn for their future endeavor. Sorry, it's my third language. No. So definitely something that I appreciate a lot in senior leader like you who are giving those opportunities to people.
Yeah, I try because I agree, and I know you talked about this. You felt strongly about this, and you mentioned this in a previous episode about one of the ways you define success is how many leaders are you cultivating under your stewardship. So. Yeah, it's definitely that. And I think the other thing that I really wanted to touch on from a slightly different lens with the entrepreneurship is if you are an employee of a company, whether it's a small company, startup, large company, doesn't matter. If you think like a business owner, if you embrace this concept of entrepreneurship, you're not only going to hone your decision making and ultimately make better decisions over time because you're thinking broader, bigger picture as well as what's in front of you, right? That's part of the entrepreneur business owner mentality. You have to have one eye on the present and one eye on the future, or one eye on the tactical and one on the strategic. So that will help people progress. But think about if you treated your career like a business owner. You know what I mean? Like you are taking these steps, and when you help others, you help yourself. And so when you have that other orientation, a business is thinking, how does it serve its community? How does it serve its customer base, which is part of that community, obviously. Well, if you're thinking like that as an employee, if you're thinking about, okay, how do I help my business retain and grow, the employer I work for? How do I help those clients that we have as part of this endeavor to do better at whatever it is you're serving them with, whether it's a product or a service? And that comes back in the spirit of reciprocity. You will find that your career accelerates. You get maybe some added responsibility and added promotions because of that, or you earn different titles, or you earn bigger merit increases, or you have a better standing when you want to renegotiate your salary with your employer, and you can say, hey, I've actually done X, Y, and Z. This translated into A, B, and C for the business. It's a much more compelling business case versus, hey, I need to get increased pay because there's 3 companies that are coming after me, and the guy's like, well, what 3 companies? And it's the electric company, the water company, and the gas company. Not exactly employee the companies that try to employ you.
No, but to piggyback on what you said also, in the past in Belgium, for those who don't know, I was in the direct selling industry. It's in the book as well. I explain a lot about that part of my life. But the reason why I bring that up is, when you are in the multi-level marketing, direct selling kind of industry, you hear all the time, it doesn't work, it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Well, I'm not part of any, so I don't try to affiliate anyone to anything that I'm doing. But it teach me everything I know today. Like it literally gave me the tools that I needed. And something that my mentor used to tell me in the direct selling, if you treat it like a hobby, it will cost you money. If you treat it like a business, it will make you money. Mm-hmm. And this resonates with me to this day because of the entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is the same principle. The difference is that it's not going to cost you money, but you're going to eventually lose your job if you don't do anything, So it kind of costs you money. But it's so true. And that's why when people complain about, oh my God, it doesn't work, I don't make money. Well, no, if you think like that, I can guarantee you it's not going to work.
Yeah.
But if you spend the time, the energy, you train yourself to learn and to get better at it, if you pick the brains of people who are successful in your company, industry, business, whatever, direct selling, you will get somewhere. You will automatically learn and get somewhere in any company industry that you are at. Mm-hmm. But you need to be curious. You need to be willing to move things around you. And to close it with what we start, you need to take some risk. Mm-hmm. Some risk doesn't mean you need to mortgage your house, but you will need to take some risks, come out of your comfort zone in order to get where you want to be.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, when people think about what you're talking about with risk, and they're thinking about things like, and if you think about risk, it's just a matter of making educated risk decisions. Like there's always going to be some level of risk, but, be thoughtful, be pragmatic, but don't be afraid. Take the chance. And again, the world is filled with people who can point out all the things that are wrong. The world, in my experience, in my perception, rewards people who can see the things that are wrong but find solutions for it. So be solution oriented. Don't be the complainer. Bring up something, but bring up an idea on how to fix it with it. And if you find yourself, and that's one of the things about an entrepreneur, they see something in the market that they think could be optimized. An entrepreneur, you're working for a company, regardless of the size. You see an opportunity, things can get better, or there's a problem, bring a solution, iterate on it. If you are solution oriented, you will accelerate your career like anyone's business, because you'll stand out, because there's not as many people that offer the solutions, plenty of people that are pointing out the problems.
Drop the mic.
All right, winners. So there's another Monday Mindset episode under the belt, so to speak. So again, please remember to subscribe, share, and follow TwoForTheWinPodcast with your hosts, Nick and Will. Thanks again to Nick Menard and Associates for at Dream Vacations for sponsoring this episode. Looking forward, as always, to talking about Wanderlust Wednesday in a couple of days with you. So hope this message finds you well. Be well, winners.
Bye, winners.